Welcome to Chapter 2, Managing Schema Object, Fundamental Part 2. In this chapter, we cover two parts. One part, you have to go back to Module 9 and look at this, step 21 through 27, I believe. Let me go back and look at your Module 9, Learning Module 9, and Module 9, let's say Course Material, Chapter 9. This is based on the old book, and it is from step creating a table, alter this table, and go all the ways to dropping a table and go to set and unset. I'll let you all to read this portion from Module 9. But let's go back and continue on Module 2. Okay. The first one, adding constraint, as I said, you're going to read that one from chapter Module 9, and creating index, and using the create table and creating function-based index, and dropping the column and set column, unset column. But I'm going to cover the flashback portion and external table. But I'm going very briefly over how to create a table. Already we covered that one on the chapter 9. There is another option that you can alter a table, add a column to existing, modify existing column of a table, or dropping a column from a table. These are features which is added to Oracle 9i. So we have these three options. As I said, go ahead, read your book. Also, there is a portion that set unused option that Oracle allow you during the daytime. If they're using a table, very oftenly you may using unset, so it won't show up the column. As I said again, you go look at the chapter Module 9. Adding a constraint to table, as we mentioned before, there are two types of constraint: table level constraint and column level constraint. You may have an existing table with the data in that table, and you cannot drop that table, so you may go ahead and alter that table and adding a constraint such as primary key, foreign key, or check constraint key to that table. So we have those options also available on chapter 9, and also believe chapter 11 or 12 from your fundamental 1. Also we have a delete cascade feature. The delete cascade feature, also read your book and look at chapter 11. It's going to explain it to you perfectly that we may have a table, two tables that depend on each other. Let me give you an example. The employee table and department table. There are some employee in employee table, but there are foreign key and related to the specific department which exists on the department table. Now let's consider we have 10 employee in department table, belong to the department 10. And department 10, for some reason we try to eliminate the department 10 from department table. What's going to happen to those employees which they are already depend on the department 10? Are we going to lay off those employees? If the purpose is laying off those employees in employee table, what we're going to do, we're going to set the relationship between the employee table and department table as a cascade, delete cascade. And it means when we remove department 10 from department table, automatically you're going to remove the employee from employee table. And right here it is the option that it allow you to set a different form of constraint, or also allow you to use the option immediate and alter table EMP drop constraint, or you may having a constraint on table and you may go ahead and drop that table. Disabling the constraint, also you may say alter table and disable the constraint. What is the purpose of the disable constraint? Disable constraint give you this privilege. Let's consider that you have having 10,000 row and you try to install load those data in the employee table. Each time that the Oracle have to check up for any specific constraint, if you trust in your data, well, it's going to use a lot of resources and it's time consuming. So you may go disable the constraint and loading your table data in your table and then enabling the constraint, as you can see in this example. Okay, then the next also cascade constraint. Already I spoke about that one on chapter 9. I want you to go ahead and look at that content again. And overview of the primary key, unique key. As I mentioned before, the primary key automatically Oracle generate a form of indexing for the primary key, but often is necessary that you're gonna adding a separate index. Let's consider there are very often developer using or data entry people, they using their salary and commission from employee table, and you prefer to put an index. What the index does, it generally gonna make the access to the data from Oracle much more faster. So you may creating a index. However, this is the right here, this constraint that we have, primary key, which we said by default Oracle create an index. This is because this constraint added on the column level, we call it column level constraint. If the constraint added after the before the semicolon and adding those constraints, we call those table level constraint. So in fact we have two type of constraint. Also there is a function based index that as I mentioned on chapter 9, we already covered this content. And removing the index is pretty simple. You may create an index and you may go ahead and drop an index. Now let's see the index, but right here I would like to show you an example how to create an index. You have a table right here, create table employee ID number, and you have a primary key right here, and the constraint that you have, they're using index and index name, index constraint name, index ID, IDX, and right here you may go drop the index right here, drop the index and index ID, index X, the same index that we saw in this slide right here, this slide. Okay, so I'm going to drop the index that I created. Okay, the new feature that Oracle added to 10G is as the table privilege that you can drop by using a purge and dropping a table with the purge option or without purge option. Let me go to a simple example. Let's consider right here, not this option. I need iSQL. And in the iSQL, let's consider I'm going to say select asterisk from cat. Let me be sure my table is clean. Yes, but let's consider I'm going to create a table based on some of it. Create table test2 as select asterisk from test from imp. I'm going to execute this command and I select asterisk from cat. Okay, create table test2 as select this one. Table is already exists. So okay, good example. Already table 2 is there. Now let me go ahead and do one thing right here. I'm going to say drop table test2. I'm going to dropping the table test2 and selecting the total view and table object. Let's put object that I have in my data dictionary catalog. Totally currently there are 22 objects, but all my table test2 is also right here. We can see that one is right here. But as soon as I execute this command and drop the table test, you're going to see that it removed the table test and replace it with the table bean HF VQ, and as the name that you're going to see right here. In fact, Oracle dropped the table as it did in Oracle 9i, but what it did, it put the table test2 in a recycle bin that it can be flushed back again and recapture that table. So if I'm going to back to your slide, you're going to see that because I dropped table test2, let's replace this dptad with test2, drop table test2, I didn't use the purge option. Oracle put that table for me in a recycle bin. Well, can I go take it back? Yes, I may go right here and execute this command. So I'm going back in my SQL prompt in iSQL, and I'm going to use it right here, and I'm going to say this is my table is test2. Now when I execute this command, it's going to take the content of the test2 table and put it back in the database. So let's execute this command. Okay, flashback. Okay, table test2 to before drop, and you're going to table test2 before flush and not in the recycle. Yes, it did. Why are you going to tell me it's not in the recycle bin? See, it remove and put him in the again the test2 back. Now if I'm going, and this time as we have this example right here, I'm going to say drop my table test2, but this time I'm going to use the option purge. So I'm going to remove this option and I'm going to say drop table test2, and I'm absolutely sure that I don't need this table for recovery. And when I execute this option, you're going to see that it removed the table test2 and it is no longer in the data dictionary. So this is what we call it, this two portion. One we call when you don't need a table forever, you have to drop table with the option purge. If you want a table that you drop but you may need it, you may say drop the table, but you're going to Oracle put it in the recycle bin and you can flush it back later, the table that you already dropped. I recommend you do not keep any table that you don't need it, because otherwise you're going to see, let me show you. For example, if I drop a table T, I'm going to say drop table T. I'm going to drop the table T, and you're going to see as result you're going to generate a lot of recycle bin object which you most likely don't like it to have in your account. So be careful, do not create any object or drop it if you don't need it. Be sure from now on to use the purge option. Okay, let's go to the next level, and the next level, external table. What is the external table? Up to now, when we create a table, we're using the Oracle, let's say space. And what I mean by Oracle space, we don't use the operating system space. All the file that we have, somehow we have to put them in the Oracle database, and later on we can execute query against those data. But sometimes we may having some other features, some other data that they are not in the database space, but it is in the Unix operating system. Let me show you example right here. Let's consider right here ls logged in as Oracle, And let me see, can I increase the font size of this editor? So you can property font, let's say 12, okay, 12, 16, 10, 18. I think that's the biggest font. Okay, and right here I have a directory emp dir. So if I'm going to say ls emp dir, I'm going to see that I have some information. So let's consider more emp txt. You're going to see, okay, more, okay, let's say more emp dir, and put it right here, emp.txt. I have some data such as employee number, name, let's say job, department, as form of the text in my Unix operating system or Windows NT operating system. But I would like to extract this data from a Unix operating system back to the Oracle. Well, there is a solution for that one, and the solution for that one, we call it external table. Let's see how we can create an external table. To create an external table, we have to create a directory or somehow give knowledge about a directory in the Unix operating system or Windows NT operating system or Windows 2000, let's put it Windows, to Oracle. So Oracle, when it try to extract the data, go to the Unix operating system or Linux operating system and extract the data back to the database. Let's look at the step that we have to follow up. The step that we have to follow up, first I have to connect as sysdba. I got to be a DBA, and when I'm a DBA, I'm going to create a directory. For example, in this example that I created for you, create directory ext as, and then you're going to give the path of the location that you try to put the directory. In this example, you're going to see it is at Unix or Linux is home, a student subdirectory, user is DE54A11, and directory is empdir. So right here, if I'm going to say pwd, you're going to see that I'm in the home student DE54A11, and let's say cd to DE empdir subdirectory. And when I'm pwd, I'm in the subdirectory ls emp txt, and you're going to see, you're going to tell me that there is a file such as emp.txt, and if I'm more emp.txt, as I showed it to you before, you're going to see the content of the empdir. After I create the directory, again as sysdba, I have to give the grant privilege to the ext external table to the E54A11. So this external table have, with this path, have the feature to read or write. The read option is okay because we cannot write to that directory at this point. We are attempting to only read from that directory. Okay, the next step is going to be that we have to putting the data in the table as we did it right here. The same data you're going to see, I have it right here. I already vi a file, vi employee, let's consider vi emp.txt, and there are 5 lines of code. I'm going to adding 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm putting a comma. I'm going to putting name is Scott, and I'm going to putting that he's a comma. They are separate or they are comma. They are let's say his salesman, his position is clerk, for example, and his department is 30. Okay, his department is 30. So I'm going to save this file and back to my Unix. Now the third step that in this portion I have to do, I have to connect as STF54A11 and create an external table like this. This external table consists of employee number, which is like this one, employee number. Then it's going to be employee name, second column. Let me shrink this out so you can see both of them in the same page. The first is employee number, right here, employee number. The second is employee name, right here. The third is job, which is right here. And the fourth one is department number. So I'm going to ask create an external table with this column. And organization is external, type is not internal table, it's external table. Type is Oracle Loader. This is a package that normally based on that package you'll be able to go to the Unix operating system and extract the data from the Unix operating system or Windows operating system. Default directory is ext. If you notice, we create a table ext right here. We create the table ext right here. So default table is ext. Access is parameter. We have different parameter. And field, they are terminated by comma. Each field separated by comma. We didn't put a space because sometimes maybe we have a field which is contain a space. Missing field value or not. If for some reason user did not put any value for any field, consider that one as a null field. The column name of this table, they are employee NO, employee NO, employee name, job, department NO. Location of the file name is emptxt. This is the same file name that we have in the Unix. If I ls, you're going to see that I have emp.txt. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to connect as DEA54A11 and try to execute this feature. So the next portion that I'm going to do, let me minimize or resize my screen so you'll be able to look at it. Now I'm going to right here, I'm going to say SQL plus. I'm going to say DE54A11 and password. Now I'm logged in. Now that I logged in, I'm going to paste the external table that I asked to create. The table is create. The name of the table is ext table. So I'm going to select asterisk from my external table. So and execute the command, and you're going to see that it takes the data from Unix operating system, brought it up and put it in the Oracle. This is the last record that we added to the table a few minutes ago. And I think that's the directory creating external table. I spoke about the external table, and that's it from chapter 2.